You explain this is what happened, this is what's gonna happen in the future. But you making excuses for why something didn't go this certain way, and this is why, and I just gotta.
Well, here's another look at explanation and excuse. Excuse, I want to get out of jail free card.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to just give me this one. A mulligan, as the golfers say.
Right.
Right? Explanation, willing to take responsibility, but I need you to know this is how it happened.
Right.
Big difference.
Big difference.
Big difference.
Cause you blaming me, that sounds like an excuse.
Or the system, or get this, the white man. Or the white man.
That's the main one, the white man.
No, I understand. Hey, the white man does have blame coming.
Right.
But even so, I still got to do what I got to do.
Right.
I got to do what I got to do in spite of the white man. That's what makes us stronger, and that what gives us the resiliency and the ability to be real resourceful that most of us don't even recognize yet. Because our whole existence in America, we've had to adjust.
Yeah.
We've had to adjust. You know what my mother used to say? Well, black man got to be twice as smart, work twice as hard. That's no lie. It's no lie.
And that's why I'm all about working together with brothers at this point.
Work smart, not hard.
Exactly.
And if we work collectively, we don't have to work as hard.
Exactly. And we all producing for each other. So it's a group benefit, and I agree fully again.
And you know, in our field, it's just that we have so many. You used the word earlier in our conversation. I don't know if it was on tape about liberals.
Oh, yeah, liberals.
And I feel that liberal thinking, if not liberals themselves, that is now permeating through our field.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Is why we're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's why we're in trouble.
And I would say, as an ethnic group, it is a big ass. It is crippling us.
Absolutely.
It is crippling us.
Absolutely.
And as I was saying earlier, that victim mindset, it keeps us right there. Especially like when Black Lives Matters came in, and I had to tell people at work, like, I don't really agree with that. Like we saying with Candace Owens, I'm on this side. You know, I want fathers in the homes. I want us to clean up our communities. I'm not with. I love rap music. I love hip hop, but that ain't my life. It don't dictate my life.
There's a book called My Life in Radio, or my 40 years in radio, or my 40 years in broadcasting, by a gentleman by the name of Paul Porter.
Okay.
He was, at one time, he was a very renowned and popular DJ in the Washington, D.C. area, but his background is he went to Northeastern University, and he started in student radio about the same time I did in the early 70s, and he began to climb up the career ladder, and he went to work for BET and some of the early broadcast entities owned by Black Americans. And he has a timeline in his book where he overlaps some of the negative things that have happened to us as a people, especially our young people, with the decision to play the videos, because the music industry changed. When I came up, excuse me, if you wanted to break new music, you paid somebody to play it on the radio.
Right.
Okay, let's make no doubt about it, because I spent 21 years in that field. You got to pay somebody to get that new song on the radio, unless you're Michael Jackson or somebody, right? You're paying somebody to play that song. So the music industry went from an auditory or audio sound to a visual image.
Right.
They used to sell music on what's being heard out the speakers. And then at one point, they discovered they could sell more music with an image, i.e. videos, music videos. Initially, MTV, VH1 refused to play that genre because the videos were lewd and lascivious. And then Luke, I like Luke, but he went to court and he won his case.
Yes.
Okay?
Luke.
But still, these people wouldn't play it. And so the black broadcasters, especially BET and Robert Johnson, Paul Porter is very clear in that decision. the programmers across the country were in agreement that this filth should be played on the airways where young, impressionable black people would get oversaturated with it. But the record companies were so desperate to move this product through this new approach, videos, that MTV's not playing it, VH1's not playing it. So there was a lot of pressure on BET to play it. Now the initial programs at BET said no, they saw it. But you know, the owners, let me just put it that way, the artists formerly known as the owners, they wanted the big payday that was going to come from the record companies, because the record companies had no outlet for that genre of music. So they started to play videos on BET every now and then. I think they had one show called 106 in Park, and they had just a few shows. In a 2 years' time or so, BET became all videos all the time.
Yeah.
And all of the videos were in the form of pop that coochie. Okay? So now you have a whole generation of children who grew up on this, because as parents, we let the TV babysit our kids. Right? So you got 6-year-olds can sing all the words to a lewd and lascivious song as she gyrates her body in a sexually suggestive manner. By the time they're 8, they know all the words to everything, but can't do their ABCs in school, or write, or do small mathematic computations in school. But they can tell you every song and every word to every song because they've set them in front of the TV. Now, granted, some people are setting their kids down with Sesame Street and stuff like that, but the majority of our kids, especially as the income is lower, the increase in television is higher. The increase in education, TV viewership, lower. Okay? So now our kids have seen generations of this stuff as a babysitting aid or tool in some homes. So the behavior that they see, they mimic.
I call the people today, the young kid, I call them baby niggas.
That's right. They mimic it. And so when they see 50 cents or LeBron James with a full sleeve, they want a full sleeve. If they see so-and-so with tattoos on their face, they want tattoos on their face. And so what they don't see is, like we were talking about earlier today, how that makes it difficult for you as an employment specialist or a case manager to get them entree to certain opportunities for forward movement, because how they're going to be perceived. It may not be right, but it's human nature to say he's a gangbanger because he got all this ink, or he's a prisoner, a convict. Okay, we're human. The human people are going to assess, and they're going to observe, and they're going to make judgments on that. You know, can't blame them. But again, back to the home, and then you have the young mothers and the young fathers are sort of spoon feeding their kids victimhood as well. So they grow up around this thought that someone's holding me back, or I'm being denied something. So it is no wonder by the time they get to us, when their life's in turmoil and we're trying to help them, that they cannot look at any of the responsibility they have or what part they played in it. See, they would rather say, criminal justice system has done me wrong, but they won't say about the 2 liquor stores I robbed to get in the criminal justice system. And so until I'm accountable, it's not going to be any change. The old model for change used to be uncomfortability, accountability, and that's when change came. If you ain't uncomfortable and you're not responsible and accountable for what you do and say, you will not change. Because change does not take place in an atmosphere of comfort. Change takes place when you're uncomfortable and you don't want to push that button again and get that electric shock that you're getting from your life. So you don't push that button again, you do something different. It's like walking through a maze. That's all a maze is. You walk through a maze, You run into dead ends, you turn around, you go back to where you started, try another route.
And that's why, like, for my approach, just addressing the work, I tell people it's science to me. It's really, as you just explained, what I want to say earlier, it's the scientific method. But
Well, actually, it's stimulus response.
same thing. Same thing. How are you going to respond to this? And even training some of the counselors always say, remember, we at work, don't react, respond. No matter what somebody does, and I just look at them like,
How about do nothing? You know, my mother used to tell us all the time, I got 5 brothers. She'd say, okay, you're in trouble, blah, 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 blah. You're telling me what happened, my mother would stop. She'd say, okay, can you fast forward to the part where he hit you? Like, Mom, so-and-so, Mom, he's so-and-so, Mom. He said, okay, I get that. Just get to the part where he put his hands on you. And if I couldn't get to that part where the person put their hands on me, then my mother was going to give me just as good a whipping as my father. As a matter of fact, I prefer that my father whipped me than my mother. And I know in today's world, getting a whipping or getting a spanking is not something people want to talk about.
right.
But I think the lack of that is why we have what we have. When we decide in the beginning, I'm not going to discipline my child in a physical way, children are smart enough to know that. I remember the first time I told my daughter, she must have been about 3, you keep that up, I'm going to spank you. She said, Dad, you're not going to spank me.
Wow.
She said it. And meant it.
Yeah.
And when I did, the first time she was shocked, and I didn't have to do it too many times after that. Because the threat of it now works.
Yes.
Because they know it can happen. And when we do certain little conversations about this kind of thing, is when they're 1 and 2 years old. If you just on the legs a few times, that gets the point across. I'm not saying you pull out a strap or a belt or something and you beat your kid. No. A strategically placed slap to the legs or the bottom gets it done. So when they get to be 3 and 4, they react to your voice.
Right.
Because I had a grandmother, once she said cut it out a certain way, you knew what was coming next. And she may not have had spanked you since you was 2 years old.
Right.
But you still react to that.
That conditioning.
So I think some places you just say you spare the rod, you spoil a child. And I think in our effort to insulate our young people from hurt, harm, and danger, we've taken something away from them. We've taken something. We've taken away their ability to take a blow and bounce back. We've taken away their ability to put their best effort forward, even if it is some obstacles and some pushback. They quit. So now I'm seeing kids come in the system younger and younger, homeless on the street in their teens and early 20s. I'm seeing parents put them out in their teens and early 20s because they can no longer control them. And so this is my theory, not precise to any mathematical degree. I don't have any data. You can't lock the gate after the horse gets out. You can't, especially little boys, you can't raise them in that free-form way without any kind of direction or any kind of adherence to structure. And then when they get out of control, think you can rein them back in when they're 9, 10, 11, and 12. And you know, a good example is that I like pop culture references too, because if we pay attention to pop culture, we'll see a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
In the movie Boys in the Hood,
Oh, man.
when Cuba Gooding's character got to be about 9 or 10, his mother was frustrated and she didn't threaten him with, I'm gonna call your father. She packed his stuff up and took him to his father.
Gotta raise a man.
Because she knew it. She was a belief that prior to that, she probably thought she could do it. But now, we have a lot of our sisters think, I don't need no man.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with a young boy, that's gonna be okay. He'll be a perfect little son. And while he's in your presence, he'll be exactly the kid you want him to be. But he may act a fool around the corner. And I think nothing shows that any better than if you remember Freddie Gray from Baltimore. You're really over here.
Yeah.
Freddie Gray killing.
Yeah.
There was a thing that was all on the national news about this mother who was coming home from work. And they were having riots in Baltimore. and she saw her son throwing bricks at the police.
I remember that. Yeah.
And she stopped, and she looked, and she said, "Oh shit, that's my son." She walked over there and snatched him.
Snatched his ass up.
Now, here's the key thing. When his mother snatched him, did he buck? No. Did he resist? No. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm sure she would have bet her life prior to that moment that my son is home somewhere doing his homework and he would not be in the street with the hoodlums and the thugs.
Right.
But there her son was.
Yep.